Here's how I looked watching AB play the first seven.
Something like it.
That's all I could do, man. Hello and welcome to the Players Meeting, a Win Dummies production. I'm Smitty, your host for the night. We're still without Lucas. This is episode number 18. This week we have a great show. We're going to talk a little bit about the Finnish Open. We're going to talk a lot about Des Moines. We're going to, of course, talk about weekly picks and everything that goes along with this week. Before we go any farther, let me bring in my dude, Mr. Ronnie Unruh. Ronnie, what's up?
Hey, what's up, dude? We're two legs to our tripod again this week.
That's right. Lucas is trying to adjust. I couldn't imagine. I mean, you know firsthand how it is having double whammies at the same time. I had 2 years apart, and that was hard enough work. So.
Yeah, I know there probably a lot of lost sleep and all sorts of fun stuff going on right now. So we can hold the fort down until he's ready, though.
I think we'll do just fine. We'll get by and do the best we can with that. So, if you're watching this, please like and subscribe to the Disc and Deals channel for all of your updates on Win Dummies podcasts and videos. You can find us on all your streaming locations, whatever you do, iHeartRadio, whatever. I personally am a YouTube guy. I like looking at who's talking. So this is my jam right here. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. You ready to do this?
Yeah, dude. Episode 18. That's pretty wild. But let's jump on in.
Pretty good. Yeah, we're on our second host, maybe our third. We don't know where that's going, but let's start where we always start. What's poppin'?
Hey, we even put in the right spot this week. How about that?
Hey, don't get ahead of ourselves. Don't get ahead of ourselves. All right, here we go. Let's start with the Finnish Open. I'm sure you didn't get up early enough to watch much of it. You were a little busy at the zoo, I think, but I was getting up for tournaments both days, and of course I wake up earlier than I ever need to, so I caught a little bit of the ladies round, the final few holes of the ladies round, all 3 days, and then I caught bits and pieces of the men's. So it was an awesome tournament, man. Evelina just absolutely outthrew all the other ladies. There was no doubt about it. She was on fire. In fact, she obviously led the field in fairway hits at some like 58% or something. This course was nuts, dude. There was like big, huge pieces of granite in the middle of the fairways, and it looked like it would beat the living tar out of your disc. But she threw it well enough to hold off. How do you say it, Heidi?
Heidi Line.
Yeah, Heidi Line ended up second, and then the interesting one was the lady we talked about last week a little bit, Silver Sarnen. She had a fantastic tournament as well. She didn't lead the field in putting. She got out putted this time, but at least the final two rounds that I watched, she was within striking distance, and then something terrible would happen to her every single time. She just didn't have the distance to compete. There was a lot of holes where an extra 80 to 100 feet made all the difference in the world. And not only did she not have the distance, man, but she had what did she have? 14 OB strokes to Evelina had 7, so she doubled up.
That's hard to overcome. When you couple those two things together, when you're fighting OB more than you're playing to the people you're competing against, and then also when you're giving up as much distance as she's given up to the longest throwers in that division, that's pretty hard to overcome, even for someone who puts it as great as she does.
She had so many more birdies than everybody else on the course. She lit up the front nine all 3 rounds and then just derailed as she came in. So that was that wasn't awesome for her. There's our champion right there. No longer the Swedish meatball to me.
She's one of those, and when she throws it like she did this week, you're gonna have a hard time beating her, because even if she doesn't make a high percentage of her putts, she just throws it so much better. And especially in an event that's limited capacity like this, where I believe you had to be finished to play in it. Is that right?
That's correct.
What a cool way to do your national open.
Yeah, right.
You can't play unless you're from here. That's very cool in my opinion.
Well, and the same thing was going on in Estonia. Albert Tom won the men's division of that. I don't recognize the name that won the women's, but last thing on Evelina, man, she hit 42% of circle ones in regulation and 70% circle two in regulation for the entire tournament. But she only converted 50% from circle one and 7% from circle two, and still won.
When you're throwing it that great to give yourself that many opportunities, and so many more opportunities than the people you're competing against, you're not going to have to convert it as high a rate. I mean, she won it from the tee box, plain and simple.
Absolutely. And then in the men's side, Chase Boyd and I were sitting at the tournament in Cessna watching on the phone as the people played. And Timu here, he was 1 down going into the final 9, 400-foot water carry. And it wasn't easy. There was OB to the left of it and OB behind it as well. Nicholas threw it to probably edge of circle, just inside the circle, and had a 1-stroke lead, so a putt to win. And the announcers were saying, oh, Timu needs to hit this to win, over dramatic, whatever. The drive. They were counting Nicholas's putt. And like you always say, pressure bursts pipes. But Timu threw that sucker to 3 steps out. He was pretty dang close. And Nicholas missed it. He stepped right up and drained it. They went to the first hole of the playoff and both threw so-so drives. And Nicholas was up first, and he 12 feet, right? Just put it underneath the pin, basically.
All right.
Timu got up, and they had a big old rock set up in the middle of the fairway, like a huge flat piece of granite, and he hit it, and he was 50 feet out and just absolutely hearted it, dude, right in the middle. Went on to the second hole of the playoff. He parked it. Nicholas missed it, and there's your Finnish champion. I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name.
Timo's good. That's a good one neighbor.
Yeah. He's like 10-12 rated too, so it was a pretty good underdog story.
Yeah, good player. He's still a good player, right? But yeah, not very many people probably didn't think Nicholas was going to win this event. I mean, clear favorite in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but like you said, man, 30 to 35 footers are really hard anyway, and they're really hard when there's a trophy on the line. So I never count any putt for anybody. Now, if you would have told me you got to bet your last $5, I probably would have bet Nick was going to make that putt.
You're a braver man than me. Now, if we're looking at
that just goes to show you, man.
Yep.
Anybody can win, and you better bury people when you have the opportunity, because the longer you let someone hang around, they're one shot away from ending you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, that was fun to watch. I love the announcers. They only had one of the Euro dudes. They had Nate Perkins on the mic with him. So, but it was kind of cool to see, listen to Nate as well. I could see that he's watched these guys and he admires the way they do it. And he was changing his style as they went along. And the thing I like about their commentary is they're so quiet at different times. And then the excitement, when those dudes get excited, I feel like it's really true and genuine, which is something that I feel is faked with Ian and Philo a lot.
I agree with you. And one thing I've said before on this show, I really think Nate Perkins is kind of starting to turn into a pretty decent announcer.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell he's working at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you. I do like that style that they have for the Euro Tour. It's different. It's a lot more like you're used to in actual ball golf, in professional ball golf, where most of the time it's very much this is what's happening, pretty right down the middle. There's not a whole lot of rah stuff going on. But when something great happens, you can really feel the emotion.
That's right.
And I like between the announcers and the golf courses that we get to see over there on the European Tour, man, I really do like watching that stuff. And it happens early in the morning, which I really like too. Unfortunately, I just wasn't able to see a ton of it this weekend.
Yeah. Hey, the last thing on this event and the course, it was pretty interesting the way they marked the OB. They just used white stakes pounded into the ground, and coming down the stretch of, I think it was the second day, it might have been the third day of the women's, Evelina threw one that it was tough to tell, and they took the quiet boards and lined them up the best they could to try to give them some eyesight, and they still couldn't tell. And no arguing, no bickering, nobody was mad. They just said, we can't tell, we're going to give it to you. And lo and behold, if the shoe wasn't on the other foot, the very next hole, somebody threw. Actually, I think it was the other way around. I think Silva did that. And then Evelina threw it up there and slid up the hill and came back down to the exact same thing. But just white stakes. And I'm like, okay, great. But why not have a piece of string that's 40 feet laying there? You can just stick it across there, have it in your bag or something.
Man, that's very much a golf thing. So when you see out of bounds in golf courses, on ball golf courses, that's they're just white stakes. There's not a line or anything like that. And it's always been kind of that deal. If it's not clear it's out of bounds, then it's not out of bounds, right? I mean, if you're obviously OB, then you're OB. But I tend to like the way they do it there. But I grew up playing golf, and that was something I was pretty familiar with. So maybe that's why. And aesthetically, I think it's awesome. I think it's cool on TV to actually be able to see the lines and or where the line would be, I guess I should say, rather than the way we do it here in the States is usually either a painted line or a string, which just doesn't translate to television very well.
Yeah. Mike and I talked about doing that around the pond at Millbrook, getting some PVC pipe and cutting it off about 2 feet tall, and then pounding stakes into the ground and putting the pipe over it. But my only concern is we do all that and then somebody comes through and takes the pipe and throws it out or does something dumb. So, All right, let's move on, shall we?
Let's talk about Des Moines.
Let's do it. Des Moines Challenge. Look at that. That is one sick looking eagle there, man.
That's a pretty killer logo, isn't it? And they did that right.
Yeah, they did a good job. So, did you watch any of the ladies or not?
I didn't get to see much of the ladies. Again, I was pretty tied up in the mornings and the early afternoon, so I didn't get to see much of them, other than highlights. Obviously, I got the highlights.
Well, I watched it, and I'll kind of give you the lowdown of what happened the best I can in the short version of it. First of all the big guns were gone, really, right? So this was a perfect opportunity for some of these younger up-and-coming players to maybe get in the mix, or an opportunity for our so-called big dogs to put them in their place, Obviously, going in, you feel like Holland is probably the favorite, or Missy is probably the favorite. Ohn on the outside, with a never out of it for sure because she's Ohn Scoggins. Natalie Ryan, I'm going to tell you right now, that chick or that person was in the event for sure. And then, of course, we have all the young gal. We had Emily Weatherman, who we had on the podcast after DDO. We had Eliezer Metling, who has been off of tour, but watching her, she's been working on some things other than throwing the disc far. She looked pretty good, and she putted really well the little bit that she was on lead card. But round one of the chicks that I think has the most talent in the chicks field and could be that person if they could just get their head straight, and that's Haley King. She came out with the early lead. Ohn was just one behind her, and Missy and Holland were way back. Missy in 10th and Holland tied for 6th, and several strokes. But Haley looked good, man. She was throwing the Frisbee fantastic, both spins, and she is a fantastic putter when she's going.
Yeah, dude, she's one of those people when her head's right. Yeah, she has as much talent as anybody in that division, for sure.
Yeah.
You just, unfortunately, and I think you're getting ready to tell me a similar story. We only get to see it in short bursts with Haley in a lot of cases.
Yeah, which is too bad because she's fun to watch. She's just so good at the game. So
yeah, I know she's one of your favorites, man. You rave about her all the time. Just how, just uniquely talented that she is for that division.
She's different than all the other ladies. That disc comes out smoking, putting and throwing. She's incredible. But at the end of round two, Ohn had extended her lead. Haley had some troubles. Ohn passed her, ended up with the 3-stroke lead over Natalie Ryan. Holland Hanley had moved up into a tie for 3rd, so she's now in striking distance, and Missy was in solo 7th. So they're there, but they're not there, right? They're not in Ohn's back pocket. So hole 17 is where the story changed. Holland is in contention, comes to the new forced carry island hole that Gannon has helped design, and she cards a 7 triple. Same with Haley. Haley carded a double bogey 6, while Ohn went birdie, birdie, birdie. And like we said a million times, she's not a tremendous thrower, but she knows where that disc is going. Sorry about the dog. All right, so let's get into round 3. Natalie Ryan, man, she charged to the front early, and she had it, dude. She had it under control. And then towards the middle, she caught a couple bogeys, but she still wasn't out of it. She had a couple really good breaks coming in the end. Enough so that she put a little pressure on Ohn, who airballed on hole 16 from about 18 feet. It was the worst putt I've ever seen Ohn Scoggin throw, and it melted her. She went down, hand on her head, head on her hand. She couldn't believe that she missed it. Then Ohn took a 5 on the island. Out of it. Ohn Scoggin's gone, no chance. Okay? But what happened was Emily Weatherman, this chick, hole 16, she hit a tree halfway down, kicked way left, made a ridiculous upshot to park it. Hit on 17 from 37 feet for a birdie. And then she's chase card. And she gets to 18 and has a 32-foot putt, knowing that if she wins it, it's going to take something crazy from the fairway to knock her out. And they're waiting. They haven't teed yet. And she just, bam, drained it. She won. It was awesome. It was awesome to win that way.
I got to see the end of it, right? So I felt really good for her to win it that way instead of from the chase card. Most of the time you post a score and then you have to, you kind of wait, you hope, and watch the last group finish. When she made that putt, she knew she won the golf tournament right then and got to have that moment, which was pretty cool for her.
Yeah, and she won it. It wasn't given to her. She took care of business, and she won that tournament for sure. So, anything on the ladies?
Emily Weatherman. I saw her do some social media with Scott Stokely after Saturday's round, maybe.
Okay.
And he was kind of talking to her. He had her on his channel, and she had just put his new putters in the bag, or maybe it was his mid range. Anyway, a couple of his discs in her bag, and they were talking about her first ever 1,000 rated round, and it was a 10:06. Little did anybody know, the next day she was going to show up and just blow past that and go 10:26 to win the golf tournament. So, yeah, I think Emily's the clear cut story, solidifying herself for player of the year. And let's not forget the other person, the other lady that's really in contention to win the player of the year, Ellie Ezra, finished second place.
Rookie of the year.
That's what. Sorry, rookie of the year. That's what I meant. Yeah. And they're the two favorites for rookie of the year, and they didn't disappoint. And Ellie Ezra did her best ever finish on tour. So
yeah,
kudos to both of them.
And hers was pretty quiet. You didn't hear much about her around or see much about it. Hers was good. So I know that you watched the final round of the men's because we were chatting back and forth, and I'm sure you've looked at the rundown of what happened. But could you believe Matty O after the first round was leading? I was shocked, dude. I mean, I was watching the score and I'm seeing he's doing great, but never once was he like being followed until fairly late in the round. And then he got some coverage. But yeah, so Matty O comes in at 9 down, joined by Raven Newsom, Braden Sides, that's a name you picked a long, long time ago, and Colton Montgomery, right? Yep. 3 names that we don't see at the top very often. Where do you find the sharks, baby? Right? There's 3 sharks there that I'm concerned about if I'm any of those dudes. 1, yep. Anthony Tony Barella. Mm-hmm. He's there. They can see him. He's in 4th place. The dude I'd be the most scared of, Gannon Burr.
The Iowa kid.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a rough first one. He ended up tied for 14th. So, mm-hmm. But tied for 14th wasn't a lot of strokes. It was tight.
And then leaderboard, yeah.
And then Vinny, right? I'm always going to be concerned.
Those are those 3 are the biggest sharks out there.
Yeah,
this year. So.
They're the 3 biggest at this tournament, I think.
I think so too. I think they were the 3 biggest dogs. I mean, you had a lot of great players there. Obviously, Isaac Robson was there, Matty O, but yeah, I think those are the 3 biggest dogs on tour, maybe, especially if Rick's across the pond. So right. That's immediately where I was looking after the first round was, oh boy, those guys are close enough. These other dudes better keep it going.
Yeah, the guys you mentioned are sharks. These dudes are megalodons, right? They're going to bring it. They're going to eat the shark if they get the opportunity. They're not messing around. Right. So,
yeah.
Round 2, man. Adam Hammies. That dude killed it. Absolutely killed it. 14 down. Missed a putt that I was for sure he was going to make on 18. Yeah, ridiculous. Not to be overshadowed, though, Anthony Barella shot pretty well himself to just end up a couple back of Adam Hammis on the lead card. And did you see that chase card? They all wore the same shirt.
I did not see that.
They all wore an AB shirt. Hammis and Austin Turner and Anthony, and I forget who the 4th one was, but yeah, maybe it's just those 3 and somebody else. But
that's pretty great.
So these dudes are shredding, killing it. Their card is killing it. Their vibe is good. Behind them, trying to keep pace, is Matty O with those 3 names that we don't see often, and water seeks its own level. Those guys shot tremendous. They're great players. They did awesome the first round, but everything that went right for him the first round didn't go quite so right the second round, and those guys slipped down the board. But Matty O didn't let it slow him down. That dude just kept grinding it out, and I freaking love watching that dude. So fun.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, well, guys who he's beating, but they might like it. They might like it too. I mean, he's
what a more fun dude to get whooped by.
Yeah, he's got to be one of those dudes that even when he beats you, you like it. Like around here, I think downtown Randy Brown. Even when he would beat me, I was like, this is all right. This is okay. So
pretty good analogy.
Yeah. So Gannon shot well enough to make the chase card. There we go. Megalodon making a sighting, right? And Vinny shot well enough to move up into the top 12. So probably an outside chance with a lot of help, but yeah.
Well, on a course like this, so much weird stuff can happen on those last 4 holes, really. I mean, 15's pretty hard. 16 is a small gap with a lot of OB. We know what 17 looks like with the Iowa flag, the Iowa State island. And then 18's a brutally small gap too, where rough stuff can happen. So, yeah, I thought anybody within, all the way back to Vinny really had a chance going into Sunday because, we'll see what he shot, but we already knew 10, 12, 13, 14 under par from Adam Hammes was possible. So a lot of things could definitely happen on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. And we both watched Sunday, and it didn't end as exciting as I thought it was going to, but for 15 holes, it was really awesome. Right. I couldn't look away. I couldn't go leave the computer. I was just, are you kidding me? What the heck is going on here, right? So Gannon was charging. He got 14 of the first 16 holes. and while doing that, the putts that he made, I had it somewhere. I don't know where it ended up, but he had like 8 putts from right at the circle's edge, maybe 10. Drained them all. Just
he's a putting machine, man. We know that he when he gets that putter going, if he can give himself opportunities, he's going to go do something silly. And everybody expected it. That was the thing. Who didn't expect that dude to just go absolutely bonkers on Sunday? And for a long time, it looked like it might be enough. Like he might post a score and just do something so crazy that it didn't matter what the lead group guys did because he would just put himself so far out there that maybe post a score they couldn't touch.
Yeah, well, maybe. But while he's killing the first 16, here's how I looked watching AB play the first 7.
Something like it.
That's all I could do, man.
The putt on 4 was unreal.
63 feet.
And the tee shot on 5, all the way until it didn't go in the basket. I mean, if we would have been behind that tee in the hive there, I guarantee you, arms would have been up because it looked like it was going right in the middle. It just kind of lost its air in the last 15 feet or so, and what was it, 3 feet low or something like that. If that basket would have been normal size, it hits it dead center.
And we're going to talk about the hive a little bit here in a little bit, but I want to be in that. Oh my God. So awesome. But we'll get to it. But holy cow, that was so much fun to watch. Coming down the stretch, Gannon Burr said that he wanted those final 2 holes and I really think it's the final 3 holes. I think that I want to play hole 16.
I think it's the last 4, really. I think 15 is
it's
a little softened this year because the wind wasn't blowing. But in years past, when that wind was really ripping off that right, you had to really be able to trust that and try to test that right boundary because you knew left was so bad. With the wind down on Saturday and Sunday, it really didn't play as tough as it can. But those last 4 holes can really wreck people. And you got 3 super tough tee shots in a row on 16, 17, and 18. All of them, could, if you pipe it, it's going to be great. But all of them could get you in a lot of trouble real quick. Ask Adam Hammis.
Yeah. Well, Gannon made a killer putt on 15, and then laced his drive on 16 and knew it out of his hand. Yeah, he's probably thrown that hole 1,000 times. And at that point, I thought, man, I don't think he's going to screw up. I think he's going to take it to the house. And I think there's probably a lot of people at that tournament that were glad that little turd got what he deserved on 17 because it bit him.
It got him 2 days in a row, and once, on 17 in the final round when it really, really hurt. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think there was quite a few people in Des Moines that took a little bit of a chuckle because they themselves put up 6s and 7s, and I even saw some snowmen on that hole. There was a niner. I didn't see the niner, but I did see a snowman. So, in the end, he got exactly what he wanted, which was that hole was going to trip somebody up down the end, and
that hole decided the tournament.
100%. Between both him and Ohn made a 5 as well. So that's kind of one of those things.
And even beyond those two, Gavin Babcock.
Definitely, yeah.
He was fantastic on the entire disc golf course, but not good at all on that hole. That hole had that poor dude's number, man.
Yep.
So, anyhow, long-winded way of saying Matteo ended up winning.
No,
not Matteo.
Anthony Grella.
Our other guy.
Where are we at here?
There we go.
This guy. There's a reason the jersey's on tonight.
That's the one they all wore.
Yeah, this is a good one, man. The whole line is really good, but AB. I mean, I couldn't have been happier. Obviously, we know I'm a super fan. I'm a little bit of a fanboy for AB. So I actually called it on Saturday night that I really thought it was going to be either AB or Matty O stepping through and taking that thing home. And yeah, Anthony starts 7 for 7. And then him and Adam kind of trade it back and forth for a few holes. But we just see a resolve with Anthony now that just wasn't there before. Even when something bad were to happen, like on hole 8, he puts himself in the trees and elects to take the safer gap to pitch out to 50 feet and then just bangs it. Right. And he does that a couple more times during the round. And he's a different player now. He's a guy that knows if I just stay the course, that my talent is probably good enough in the end if I can keep myself in contention. And he did just that. And in the end, he ends up winning fairly comfortably. And I'm pretty sure all 4 tournaments that he's won this year, he's got to lay up on the 18th hole and drop in, which is quite a luxury, especially for someone who's never won prior to this season.
Right. Yes, sir. So it was awesome. It was a fun tournament to watch. So I think I got a few things that I should have been showing. I should have shown that a long time ago. Emily, first disc golf pro tour win. And what did they say that she was maybe the 5th winner on tour this year, or is that wrong? Has it been more than 5 females winners?
I don't know how many individual winners we've had on tour this year for the ladies, but yeah, her first win, and what a way to break through in your first event. I mean, the prize money in Des Moines was, I gotta imagine for her was maybe not life altering money, but that's gonna change the way her tour goes for the rest of this year for sure. I mean, it's got to be a nice breath of fresh air for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy
should have had that one up there when we're talking about your dude.
That's the guy. Look at this stat right here.
Yeah, something shared by Statmando. I'll let you talk about this a little bit.
Fourth win of the season, obviously, and joins in a pretty incredible list. You know, a who's who of the history of the sport, really, of people who have won 4 major or Elite Series wins in a single calendar year. And now we will preface this by saying that there's a lot more opportunities now than there were 15 or 20 years ago, right? Before the Disc Golf Pro Tour came to be. But you look at this list, and we're talking about, in my opinion, the 4 greatest players of all time and potentially the 5 greatest players of all time with Barry Schultz, King Climo, Dave Feldberg, Paul Macbeth, and Ricky Wysocki. And then you throw in 2 guys that you've maybe heard of, Eagle McMahon and Simon Lizotte. You know, you join a list that has those 7 names on it, you're doing something pretty good. You're a pretty unique talent.
Pretty good company. So, and we're half over, right? The year's about half.
Where does it end? You know, we're going to go back to a place, you know, here in a couple weeks that we saw what we thought was going to be the greatest moment in Anthony's career and ended up seeing maybe the lowest moment when we go back to Nokia. So I think he's immediately got to be mentioned in a short list of the favorites to win the European Open. So, you know, maybe Anthony gets another one, or heck, even more than that this year. So who knows where this season's going to end for AB.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. Hole 17. Let's talk about her a little bit.
The Gannonburg hole.
Yeah, man. This hole, wow. These people struggled with this hole because it took a lot of thinking to play this hole. And it took a lot of discipline that if you were in a bad spot on the tee, going for the green was a terrible idea. They needed to take their medicine and lay up to the edge. And you can tell by looking at these stats that I shared over here, that didn't happen a lot, right? What we have here is at the top, we have the ladies breakdown. Round 1, 3 birdies, 18 double or greater.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them much greater, double digits. Round 2, you can see 6 birdies, 10 double or more, and then 8 and 10 or more. And pretty small field to have that many double bogey or worse.
Well, it goes to show, and we'll even see it when we get down to the men's statistics, and this is one of those rare holes where the men and the women play nearly the same tee, right? The ladies are a little farther forward, but it wasn't a giant difference.
100 feet.
It was a full 100.
Yeah.
You don't have to 500 foot for the ladies. That's not a long par 4 for them. And 600 for the men. But you had to be strategic, and you had to make shots. And it goes to show that it doesn't take a 900 foot par 4 to test these players that have, you know, that are the best players in the world. Make them think, make them execute, and give everybody the same opportunity. This is one of these holes that, regardless of your length in the field, everyone had the same opportunity to score here.
Mm-hmm. But the one thing that is shocking to me is the men. Look how the number of birdies increased and the number of doubles and more decreased. So they quickly figured out this some gun's going to make or break my round. I do a 4 or even a bogey is not terrible.
Yeah, they figured it out as the week went on. The wind lessened as the week went on too, which helped a little bit with that second shot. but yeah, what you said was exactly right. And, I was saying it when Anthony was coming down the stretch. Hey, just don't make 6 here. As long as you get to, if you go, it's okay to go out of bounds on that second shot on 17, but what you can't do is go out of bounds on your third shot or go out of bounds again from the drop zone. If I was playing that tournament, I certainly would have practiced every day 3 or 4 shots from that drop zone. You're going to find it at least once during the week, you got to assume. And you better have that 180-foot shot or whatever it was dialed, because what you can't afford to do is start to have to reload there. And we saw it happen a couple of times. One of those for sure was Gavin Babcock, where he had to, and all of a sudden, when you start throwing shots away like that, man, in the end, it's just dollars leaving your pocket at the end of a week.
I'm going to tell you how many dollars it is here in a second. I got it. Okay. And these other two dudes down here at the bottom, Thunder Schultz and Bob Burridge, deuce that son of a gun. Thunder from 239 feet and Robert Burridge from 250 feet. So that's something to write home about for sure.
Definitely. I'd like to see the shots, because unless they were coming in there on a spike angle, which I can't imagine happening, if those don't go in the basket,
they're out.
They're going to the drop zone.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So sometimes the best shots are bad shots gone right.
That's right, man. The basket gets in the way every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure it does. Did you see Natalie throw it into the OB from the tee?
I did not see that.
Yeah, she outdrove the first portion of the hole and ended up in the OB.
So in a case like that, did she get to proceed to the drop zone?
That's what she did.
Wow. So was every tee shot that went out of bounds go to the drop zone? So
I think if you went out of bounds, you went to the drop zone. No matter what. So yeah, which makes me wonder. And you still have to clear that hallway there, that early hallway, to get to the out of bounds. And I was talking to Brandon Dixon about this today, and he felt like going OB off the tee isn't a bad thing. But I mean, if you can throw it clear out of there,
yeah,
you probably have enough. You probably have enough to control to throw it to a spot where you can attack.
Yeah, if you can make it through that hallway and get it all the way out of bounds, surely you can then at least maybe execute the 260 or 70 or 80-foot shot to the golf green as well. But, I think that would have been my play. I think I agree with Brandon. I think I would have been throwing it through there as hard as I could. And with the goal in mind, I'm going to throw this out of bounds. Because if I get to the OB, I'm okay with it anyway. And if I don't make it to the OB, then
you get a birdie.
I'll kind of just play, then I've got a good chance to make a 3. But yeah, that's a weird way to play that hole when I wasn't aware that anybody got it all the way to the out of bounds.
Yeah, she threw it out the end of it. So yeah, so let's talk about Gavin Babcock and, like you said, losing dollars. Round 1, 6. Round 2, 5. Round 3, 6. Now, I know we can't just say if he just pars that hole, but I'm going to say if he just pars that hole, doesn't birdie it, just fours it every single time, he moves up 13 places and takes home an additional $1,500. Yeah, so I'll bet you he put Gannon in a headlock after they got done.
Yeah, he wasn't so proud to be from Iowa going to the 18th tee every day. I have to imagine.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's comical because Drew absolutely knows that wouldn't happen, but it's pretty comical. I actually like the change. I thought it was a good change.
The first time I saw it, I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. Interesting. I don't care what shape the stupid thing is. It's big enough, right? I don't care if it's a triangle, a square, a circle. You know what it is before you get there, right? And what I want to know, though, is 5 days ago would have been practice round. Anyhow, this dude took a 9 on it, round 2. Yeah.
Maybe he should have tried to throw it to Iowa more instead of Minnesota, I suppose.
Couldn't have hurt.
Apparently he loves geography.
Yeah, couldn't have hurt. But let's talk just a second about the course because I thought it looked awesome. I mean, it looked pretty. It was fun to watch on TV, and there's some really cool holes on that sucker. 2 of them that I'd love just to have a shot at playing. I'd love to play hole 16, that downhill hole. That looks like a dream disc golf hole. And the other one that's kind of interesting to me is the one with, and I know you don't like it, but the one with the big uphill right off of the tee. I don't know that I've ever played a shot like that where you're trying to throw. I'm sure I'd bury it into the top 3/4 of that hill, but you got to get it up there and moving right. So, I mean, I'm sure I would flick it, but what a cool
very
hole.
unique hole. I think Pickard is kind of underrated on tour. It plays really well. It's long, but length isn't necessarily mandatory, even though Anthony Barella, won the golf tournament. Maybe the longest player on tour, but I think overall it plays great. I'm with you. 16 is an awesome hole. Obviously, any water carry to an island on a pedestal is going to be fun. Plus you have the hive there. There's plenty of holes there that I think are really, really cool holes. I even like hole 2. It's a little, kind of boring for the touring professionals, but it's a hole I think I would like to play. You start from way up high and throw the hyzer around the corner, and then it's, an uphill shot under the trees. There's a lot of cool holes out there, man. Pickard is one I think I probably need to get to.
Yeah, I'm with you. You brought him up. Let's talk about him. The Hive.
They have some fun, man. They have some fun.
We've talked a couple times about the 8 holes and that we don't mind them. But we said we didn't want one at every event. I want this one, and I want to be in this one.
Man, we got the 3 that really come to mind are obviously the 8 holes from Maple Hill. And then you have the Flamingos, that crew that's working the 16th at Emporia Country Club or Champions Landing now. And then you have the Hive here, and man, they all have a really good time. But these people were getting after it. They have a good time. And they got characters coming out there. It's a whole show out there.
They were so respectful, though, at the same exact time. The Mingos or Flamingos, whatever they play, somebody misses that island, they play SpongeBob. That's not cool in my book. These dudes are at their job, right? But these guys would get them all hyped up, everybody fired up, and this shot in the top left-hand corner there, that's Anthony hitting the pedestal. You can see his disc coming in. The look on that kid's face as he was walking up to that tee pad made me think these guys are okay with the Hive. They like the Hive and the environment that it gets. And you got top right, you got Mattio's caddy. That dude caddied the whole time with little tentacles on his head. How awesome is that? And then
now it's a cool environment. So if anyone's ever been to the Wichita Open, here at the 17th hole at Crestview Country Club. The environment's very much the same. It's everybody's there to have a good time. They have beer specials when someone hits a birdie or hamburgers. So one year, anytime someone got a birdie, hamburgers were 50 cents for the next 5 minutes. So as soon as someone would make a birdie, here would come cheeseburger in paradise on the overhead speakers, and everybody be running down there to buy a cheeseburger. And you kind of get that feeling on this hole at Pickard Park. And I think it'd be cool to go take that in.
How about this dude in the middle over Evan, Scott, Smith, whichever one that is, his shoulder there? That dude was committed, man. Full beekeeper get up all day and pumped to be there.
Man, was he? So I saw the introductions for the lead group. I wonder if he gave that introduction as every group approached the tee.
Man. I think he did.
That's a long day. That's commitment right there.
Loved it though, didn't he? He's already got his beekeeper outfit pressed and ready for next year, I guarantee you. But down here in the bottom right corner, that was the greatest thing I saw on the Beehive the entire time. If you watch it on Jomez, AB hits the pedestal. He's coming down the deal, and you can see the stupid Geico Gecko up there on the top left in the corner going like this because he thinks it's in. Everybody thinks it's in. And AB high-fived that dang thing on the way to make that putt.
I saw it.
I loved it, dude. It's so cool.
It was a whole vibe. And it's cool for our sport to have something like that. Like I said, we don't want it at every event, but the few events that they're at, man, I think it adds something to the golf tournament. I think the players enjoy it, and it sure looks good on TV.
I'm okay with it, just like I'm okay with that Iowa-shaped green and the basket being in. I'm assuming they kept saying Iowa City, but I'm guessing it. Surely they put it where this place is, right?
Well, I think maybe it was supposed to be, but it wasn't quite. It was a little too far east.
Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, that was fun.
This was pretty fun, too.
Yeah, right. This is what most people see. This little cute, cuddly, adorable little creature. This is what I see. Flashback to 3-year-old Smitty when his hippie mom and dad take him to their hippie friend's house to have a pet raccoon. And 3-year-old Smitty comes at the pet raccoon and probably screams at it or pulls a tear or something, and it bit me on the knee. So that's what I see.
Traumatized.
Yes. But
they so kind of stole the show on the 17th hole on Sunday. This raccoon is just in the middle of the fairway and nobody's doing anything about it.
So close to him. So close to him. And did you hear Hammies?
I didn't get a hearing.
You need to go back to the replay and rewind it and turn it up. He's out of the tournament, right? And he's trying to hold it together. I'm sure he's angry as heck. And he flicks that zone over that raccoon's head. And right out of his hand, he says, "Mama used to just knock him off the porch with a broom." And I'm like, did he say that? So I had to rewind it and turn it up. And he 100% said that. It was awesome.
Well, as someone who speaks fluent movie quote, the fact that he would drop a Forrest Gump reference right in the middle of his round and right after his shot is pretty entertaining. And I'm not the biggest Adam Hammis fan in the world, but he moved up the ladder a little bit with me with that comment.
Well, he had plenty of time to think about what he was going to say because he was all over that fairway and that raccoon was just chilling there the whole time. So he had several minutes to think about what he wanted to say.
Well, the raccoon got to get some extra airtime in the middle of all Hammer's throws up that fairway because he was a part of about 3 of them.
I couldn't believe how close they were to that stupid thing. It looked like they were 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah, I'm not about the trash pandas. Sorry.
Let me see what my next slide is. Okay, that's what I was afraid of. All right, so one more thing we got to talk about, and I'm not sure how this is going to work. So we tested it before, and we couldn't get any audio, but we can get a little bit of video here. This is Ohn Scoggins on second round, hole 11. Did you see it?
I saw it.
Let me rewind it.
Pretty clear foot fault there.
Okay, so she does that. She throws it. Haley King calls her. And Ohn's obviously not happy about it. Natalie says, I didn't see it. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt right away. Mondahano says, I didn't see it. I was watching over here. So this is the second time. Oh, and Ohn's mad. And she calls Haley rude. And she's a little hot under the collar, right? It gets a little catty for a second. But this is the second time now that Haley has called a foot fault. The first one with Missy in the playoff, I'm not sure that was a foot fault. This one, I'm 100% sure this is a foot fault. I don't think Ohn's gaining an advantage. But I also think that if we don't call it and enforce it, then we can't call it and enforce it when somebody does step to the side to gain an advantage, maybe.
Yep, I agree with you. Do you think that, and I didn't get to see it happen live, so I didn't get to hear the audio, and you said that Ohn made a comment to Haley about being rude.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like Haley's call on Missy at DDO, which was clearly out of frustration and something we commented about after that was just a little bit unprofessional and below board to even make the call whether it was a penalty or not. Do you think that played into Ohn's reaction? Like, is this just something that she does now when things aren't going her way?
No, I don't think so. I think that Ohn was just frustrated that it was called on her, and I maybe Ohn's not 100% sure if she did or not. I mean, we've all done it. Pivoted, kicked it with your toe, whatever. I just think that, and then I don't know what happened on 12, 13 and around the green, but I guarantee it changed the vibe of the card. But where the rules are, we enforce the rules ourselves. And we've talked about this before where, and in fact, this was the same situation that brought it up, I do believe, but I don't know the easy solution. Even if there is a marshal walking with them, they're going to be hard pressed to watch every single thing the entire time because they're probably going to be volunteers, or maybe they come from the PDJ and they're not. I don't know. Maybe Bill makes a buttload going around a marshal in these events. I don't know.
So here's my question to you then. Rather than that, and rather than you calling penalties on me for something that I do, why do we not get to a situation like in the game of golf, where we have to call the penalties on ourselves. Right? It's always been considered as a game of honor. And if you've ever played golf with someone, and we've played plenty of disc golf with a lot of people, you know who cheats and who doesn't cheat. And you would hope that at the professional level, that's not something that's even considered. Are you going to miss some things? Of course. I've never really been comfortable with the way that we do it in our sport. And we've talked about this numerous times, of calling penalties on each other. Because a scenario just like this, right? Maybe it's 100 degrees and I'm getting a drink of water. It's really hard for me to watch all 247 or 50 shots that the four of us make in a group over the course of 4 hours. Right? It's hard to commit that kind of attention paid to everything. Are you going to miss something? Sure. And you couple that with the fact that, yeah, you never want to make those calls for a reason just like this. I'm sure it completely changed the vibe of the card. It's just a weird position to be put in as a competitor, to have to make those calls. And I think we either get to a situation where we have officials, or at least at the touring level, either an official that'll make those calls, or we just have to make those. We have to call those penalties against ourselves.
Yeah,
and be trusted to do so.
What do you do if you're Haley in this situation?
It's plain and simple, man. If I see the penalty, I'm going to call the penalty. I feel like that's what you're supposed to do. As currently constructed, that is what our rules tell us we have to do. It also tells us that we should be looking out for that as the playing partners, right? We're there to protect the rest of the field. It's subjective. Some people don't want to do it, which ultimately makes it a question of whether it's being done equitably throughout the field. That's my biggest problem with it, is how do I know that, while I have no problem calling a penalty against you, and you would know that if I called a penalty against you, it's because a penalty occurred. It's not because there's anything personal or anything like that, but it's my duty as a player to protect the field to do so. But how do I know that that's happening in the next group or the group beyond that, or what's going on? So I think that's where the trouble really lies in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to call equity. What are you saying there? Say that word again.
Equitable.
Yeah, that word. We're not even going to call it the same on this podcast, because sure. I'm going to go up to Ohn after it and I'm going to be like, "Hey, Ohn, I just want to let you know that when you made that last throw, I'm pretty sure that you I'm positive you stepped on your disc." Now, she's also 400 feet from the basket, and we're talking inches, sure. Right? I'm also the same guy that, as she's lining up this putt in this tree or whatever, this putt that doesn't have a clear line, if I look at her feet and I see that she's clearly not lined up legally, that she's getting a footfall, I'm going to tell her before she does it. I'm going to say, "Hey, Ohn, you might want to check that right foot before you go." And I feel like that probably she's going to know that I'm doing it to keep her from getting penalized, versus sure. Somebody who would go ahead and let her putt and then say, "Yeah, that was a footfall." Now, I have seen, and I have called people that inside the circle or whatever putt, and for whatever reason, maybe they fall forward. They're under a bush and they putt and they fall forward onto the ground. And that's a bang bang thing. You don't have time to worry. Now, if they say, "Hey, Smitty, what do you think? Am I outside?" I'm going to say yes or no, and I'm going to live with what happens at that point. You ask me all the time, "Am I outside the circle?" And I always say no, even if I know you are. So,
it's one of those things, and I don't disagree with you. I think it's got to be, to me, it's got to be a clear penalty. But if it is a clear penalty, I'm gonna feel comfortable making the call. And this one, I feel like the penalty's clear. If Haley's watching it happen, you can't miss that, right? I mean, that disc goes flying. Here's the problem with that call, right? It's why it's really hard to. Did she kick it after she released it? Because if she kicks it after she releases it, then it's not a penalty, right? And if it's that big bang, and I get you, man. If it's happened, what advantage was gained, and that's another thing that I have to think about too. If there was an advantage gained, then is it egregious? If it's egregious, then I'm going to make the call. If it's not, I'm the same way with you. I'm probably just going to say, hey, dude, pretty sure your foot hit first on that last step putt. You might want to watch it the next time.
I mean, she was in
something like that.
She was in the absolute middle of the fairway. You know, I've seen it before where there's a tree in your backswing or a tree right in front of you. And when I say you, I don't mean you. I mean the person throwing.
I know what you mean.
You run up and you plant to the left of the lie so that you have, and you might not be doing that purposefully. You might be doing that so you don't smack your dang hand on the tree. And that one I may have to call. But now I'm drawing this line of what's going on here. But I feel like in that scenario, the person truly did gain an advantage by moving away from the lie. So good talk, man. That was fun.
It's a tough one. Yeah, that is fun. That's a fun discussion. And unfortunately, it's one we end up having to talk about more than I would like to, about rules and that kind of stuff. But it's relevant, and it happens so often in tournaments that we got to bring it up when it does.
You got that right. Well, I think it's time to move to a new segment, and I am going to be on top of things here. Weekly picks. Where's it at? There we go.
Almost on top of it. Close enough.
This is harder than you think. Like, I've heard half of the things you say because I'm not kidding.
I think it's incredibly hard. That's why I don't do it.
Lucas is good at it. Can't wait.
But I feel like I almost don't mess up, and that's running my flapper too long.
Can't wait till this 18 years is over. What will we be on? Episode 500 some? Like disc golf guy? Think about how many of those dudes are on. That's incredible.
Man, they bang them out, don't they?
Yes, they do. So here we go. Weekly picks. We all know how this works. Ronnie and Lucas and I last week made our picks. This week, based on our players' performance, I rated us on a scale of green, meaning we had the best pick for that category, yellow, meaning we're somewhere in the middle, and red, meaning we sucked. So let me share this here. Boop. There we go. Here's our stinks for last week. Ronnie, living on the edge, going Mr. Babcock, who is one of the hotter players in the field. Me, I went with Casey because I just don't think he can shoot great every single week. And Lucas, for some reason, turned his back on his boy. Fair weather fan at his finest. You remember an argument between you and Lucas about how this guy was as good as Anthony Barella?
Claimed he was better. I think that's I think if anybody goes back and watches that episode now, we can we'll have to put it in a blooper reel because we clearly determined that's not the case.
Well, maybe he still loves the guy, but Ronnie, I think it was a pretty good pick.
It was this week. It was.
Man, Cole struggled. Finished 52nd. I don't remember what his average place was, but it was way better than 52nd. Gavin gets the red because he was a couple better than his average finish. And I get the yellow there for Casey because, well, it wasn't as bad as your pick, and it wasn't even close to as good as Lucas's pick.
If this would have only been a contest for the 17th hole, I would have absolutely crushed you guys.
Yes, you would have. Look at this, though. 28th place is not terrible at a Disc Golf Pro Tour event.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
And that gets me a yellow on a stink.
All three of them lost the cupcake, so I felt like we all should have got greens.
Anthony had to carry his own bag. His caddy was busy.
Caddy played too well.
I wonder what kind of deal those guys got going.
Man, I don't know, but I'll tell you what. AB, if you're out there and you need a caddy, it doesn't matter what it pays. Hit your boy up.
Gonna have to get a dumb haircut first.
I might just do it.
All right, here we go. Sleeper. Ronnie goes with the old man, tall Paul Oman. I went with the hair, Clemonade, my dude. And Lucas is on the KJ USA bandwagon now. Dude switches sponsors, gets some new discs, plays pretty good last week, and Lucas is all over him.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
You got one guy that's in his 40s, another guy that looks like he's going to join Troy Polamalu and start doing Head and Shoulders commercials, and then KJ looks like he's ready to squeeze the life out of that putter. So how did they end up?
Well, funny you should ask. I had to break out a calculator, but Tall Paul was his difference between his average and his placing was worse than Kevin Jones's.
That tells you how bad of a season KJ's really had, to be honest.
Man. Yep. And then my dude, that's pretty good, dude. Top 25.
Man, I don't know that I've ever had 2 reds before. You guys do this all the time. It feels bad.
So Lucas and I are tied up, and you are sucking, and I love it.
Doesn't feel great, I'll be honest.
Well, this will bounce you back. Lucas screwed me by picking the same shine as me. Son of a gun. And you went with the kid, and we know how this played out.
I thought he was going to win for just a second. Well, I thought he could win. And I certainly didn't want it to happen. Obviously, we know where my fandom took me there, but the dude's, the guy has a chance to win seemingly every week.
That's right. So, yeah, this is your worst showing.
I believe that's right, yeah.
But in the scheme of things, you only barely lost to us because we both had a green and 2 yellows. So
here's what really frustrates me. I get 2 reds, and then I beat the tail off of both of you. You guys don't even get a red. That's like that's extra deflating.
You can't get a red for top 15.
I don't think you can. And
we need
to IROB for getting to 15th place, because it looked like for a long time he wasn't going to make it there. And
my dude
let's
did
lead that into our next segment.
Well, do you want to make our picks for this coming week first?
Oh, yeah. That? We've got one to do this week. We got the Krokhol Open.
Yes, sir. Let me get rid of this. Yeah. So Krokhol Open over there in Euroville.
Oslo, Norway.
Yep.
I think Krokhol is now, I looked at some rankings. I want to say it's the 2nd ranked golf course in the world now or something.
Oh, wow. Is this the one is this for Paige Brook or Foot?
I'm almost positive, yes. So this would have been
Paul won.
Correct.
And not where Barsby got that killer sword.
No. Paul didn't win this one last year. This was the one where Bradley nipped Paul.
Okay.
Bradley Williams actually won this event last year, I believe.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I don't care much about last year, but I am ready to tune in this weekend because I got nothing going on.
Lots of OB.
There's
going to be out of bounds everywhere.
And there's some dudes there too.
This has an amazing field.
Yeah.
The Americans are really, I think this is the first event where the majority of the folks are going over from now through the European Open. And there's dogs at this one and lots of them.
Yes, sir. All right. You want to start or you want me to start with Lucas?
I can start. I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to start with my stake. I am going to take Ezra Aderhold. I think all the OB at Krokhol is going to bite him. I just don't see it for the kid this week. I like that. Maybe I like flirting with a guy who can win.
Well, then you're going to enjoy these next two.
Good.
You want me or Lucas?
Give me Mr. Deals. What's he got?
Thin Young Bird.
Man.
Not a terrible pick.
Not after what we saw of him last.
Yes. Yeah. So.
But one that could definitely cost him a roadhouse very easily.
Not as easy as mine.
Oh boy, who did you take? Do I even want to hear it?
I'm just looking for a reason to have some company. You ready? Roll Tide, baby.
Oh my goodness. This is a Mateo golf course. Oh yeah. I ribeye, medium rare, loaded mashed potatoes.
Oh man,
that's my order.
You know how many bogeys he had at Des Moines?
0.
None. He's the only guy in the field. Good pick, huh?
No. Terrible, actually.
All right.
Would you like to go ahead and start the shines? We'll just.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do Lucas's shine. And here's how I know my pick is good. Matty-O.
Here's how I thought mine was good. I also have Matty-O.
Awesome, man. I can't wait. I went with the Beast. I'm ready for him. I know. I'm on him again. But
nobody wants it more than I do. And obviously he's got some good feelings from this golf course last year. So not a bad pick. Obviously recency bias. We just saw him in Sweden play really well. So obviously he's got a chance.
So that's better than my stink?
Much better than your stink, actually. I hope my shine wins one time.
Oh, well, yeah. Boy, that'd be bad.
You want to start the sleepers then?
Oh, I have to. It's my turn.
It's your turn.
I am on record of saying I will never, ever, ever pick this dude ever again. And I picked the son of a gun. Joel Freeman.
Picking one of my dudes. I like it.
I'm either gonna have a heck of a week, or I'm gonna get laughed out of the studio next week.
Yeah, you have the high probability of an A or an F.
Yes, sir. Who you
got? My sleeper. I took one of the semi-local, one of the guys from across the pond over there, a Finnish dude. Lori Lettinen. Good finish here last, one of the best one of the best players in the world that nobody really knows about. I mean, did you know that Lori Lettinen is 1032 rated?
Nope. I'm looking to see where he finished T3. He was
at the Finnish Open.
5 back of little Nick
of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going with a guy that just played pretty well, and like I said, is a guy that is a true sleeper in my opinion, because not many people know how great he is, and that dude is a very, very good player, one of the best players on the planet.
Yeah, that's. We'll see how that comes out. Lucas went with the person we've talked about multiple times on this show. In fact, we talked about him. We were on this dude at the beginning of the year, and it's not Brody. Alden Harris.
Gotta like it. Yeah. I actually considered Alden myself. Seems like an Alden Harris kind of golf course.
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun talking smack all week. Boy, and then it's going to be fun going to Roadhouse.
Man. Yeah. I can't wait to have you pick that check up.
I'm going to pull the old, wait for me in the car, boys. I'm going to go wash my hands. And I'm running right out that sucker. All right.
I don't know if we'll let you.
I won't do that. Well, that was good. That'll be fun. So that means it's time to look at our Survivor League. Scary Coon.
Well, that's a pretty good graphic to have up there. The feelings of those who will play next week and the feelings of those who may not.
Yes.
How did it shake out?
Well, as you can see, we've got a lot of green. That means a lot of dudes advance to the third week. We got a red. Let's just start with the biggest winner of the week, Mr. Anthony Tony Barella. Not as big of a pick as I expected him to be. Patsy, who talked trash on me all week, and Sean Baltazar were on Anthony. Pretty good pick.
Those them. Always good to find the winner.
The hometown kid, the course designer, the scariest dude on the golf course probably right now.
Mm-hmm.
Was a very popular pick.
and well should have been, right? He was, the hottest guy on the planet, playing at home, defending champion.
A lot of people rode his coattails to week 3 of Survivor Week 3 or Survivor League 3. Vinny made the trek all the way back from Finland.
Final boss.
From Sweden to play here, and Brandon Dixon was on him.
Nice work.
He and I had some discussions about Vinny and how he didn't play so well in Sweden and how he's coming right back. I couldn't believe he flew over there to play a tournament and came right back. And, we left it at that.
Yeah. That's a gutsy pick, Brandon Dixon.
Mr. Robinson.
No. By the hair on your chinny chin chin.
Dude, I was, because you were my soundboard.
Wetting
it. Okay. If Cupcake bogeys this, I'm in. There's only 2 guys that can knock me out. Yeah.
Now everything fell right for you. Hey, you got to see the third week of the Survivor League. I'm pretty proud of you and Lucas.
We're excited. I think I might just take Gannon just so I can Play another one.
Get to week 4.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lizotte, I think, was a shot out of the top 15 or so.
He was right up there, and he didn't play that great. Aaron Knoll.
Aaron Knoll. Poor guy. He was 2 shots out of 15th place. Mr. Simon Lizotte was.
Thanks for playing, Aaron.
Appreciate you.
At least he played the tournament. Oh, man. Uh-oh, what's this?
What's going on here? We've already got all the results. Why have we seen a picture of the robot chicken?
Somebody called in a sub last minute.
Oh, no.
And went with the robot chicken.
The robot chicken finished 21st place.
Yeah, he missed the cut. So we're going to lose somebody.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Apparently, I told him that I like the robot chicken here. I kind of take credit for this guy's demise.
Good work. First of all, well done, eliminating the field for us. So, Mr. Dixon takes your word for taking Vinny out, the final boss, and puts in Mr. Boring as he calls him, and it cost him, and now he's out.
Well, I think it was his own choice to take Vinny out. He was the one concerned about him. And I told him I was on IROB. But I think I told him I was between IROB and Robot Chicken, but
I would say Mr. Dixon probably learned the lesson.
Yeah, don't listen to me. I'm terrible at this game.
Don't listen to a guy who's hadn't seen the third week of this game before right now.
I'm all right with that. So, anywho, might as well do some picks for next week.
Let's do it.
All right. Lucas Deal has picked Anthony Barella.
Hard to argue that after what we just saw in Des Moines. I'm going to do something myself that I very rarely do. Matter of fact, I don't know that I've ever done it. I am going to double up my shine with my survivor pick. Give me the first down, roll tide, Matty O.
I'm going to hedge my bet. Yep. I'm going to go with Matty O. That's my survivor pick. Hey,
no, he wanted to stink all the way to 15th place.
Hey, that's bad for him right now. That might win. That might win. So, yep, I'm on Matty O this week.
So we got 2 Matty O's and an AB. For
us. And then whatever our remaining crew picks. So, hey, dude, it's going to be fun. That is for sure. I can't wait. So, that was a fun show. That was fun talk. If you made it this far, thank you. Hope we entertained you a little bit. I know we entertained ourselves. Yeah. Thanks for watching. 19th hole. Shot it. That was all. It's going to be a good one. Later.
Peace.
There is Emily Weatherman for the win. Emily Weatherman, your True Bank Des Moines Challenge, presented by DGA Champion.